Welcome back to Your Brain Lied, the podcast where we explore the fascinating ways our minds work and sometimes the ways they lead us astray, often convincing us of things that aren't quite the whole picture. Today, we're diving into a topic that might seem lighthearted on the surface, but holds an incredible, often underestimated power: humor and its close cousin, self-irony. Think about it. Life, especially in our 20s and 30s, is a wild ride. It's a constant juggle of career goals, personal growth, friendships, relationships, financial responsibilities, and maybe even a dog or a plant that requires more attention than you anticipated. There are big, life-altering shifts: a job change, a move to a new city, the end of a long relationship, the beginning of a whole new chapter. And then there are the daily micro-changes, the little bumps in the road. The spilled coffee right before an important meeting, the internet going out during a crucial deadline, the unexpected bill, the moment you realize you've been talking to yourself for 5 minutes in the grocery store aisle. Our brains, wonderful as they are wired for survival. They're constantly scanning for threats, for problems to solve, for things to worry about. And sometimes this hypervigilance, this constant serious assessment of every situation can actually work against us. It can make those small bumps feel like insurmountable mountains. Those minor inconveniences feel like cosmic injustices. Our brains tell us this is serious. You must fix this. You must feel stressed about this. And that's where our topic today comes in. Because sometimes our brain lies to us by telling us everything must be solemn and grave. What if there was a simple, universally accessible tool that could help you navigate these ups and downs, big and small, with more grace, less stress, and even a little bit of joy? What if this tool could act like a secret superpower, boosting your ability to bounce back when things don't go as planned? Well, there is, and it's humor, especially when you turn that humor gently towards yourself. Let's start with what humor actually does for us. When we laugh, even a little chuckle, something remarkable happens in our bodies and minds. Imagine you're driving, already late for something important, and then you hit unexpected bumper-to-bumper traffic. Your shoulders tense, your jaw clenches, maybe you grip the steering wheel tighter. Your brain is screaming, "Danger! Threat! You're going to be late! This is a disaster!" It floods your system with all those stress chemicals, preparing you for a fight or flight that isn't actually happening. Now, imagine in that very moment, a song comes on the radio that makes you inexplicably giggle, or you spot a ridiculously personalized license plate, or you simply think to yourself, well, this is just classic. Of course this would happen today. For just a second, your body loosens, that tension in your shoulders drops, a little bit of that clenched feeling dissipates. That's humor. Humor acts like a pressure release valve. It allows your brain to momentarily step back from the intense, focused problem-solving mode and see the bigger picture. It's like having a camera with different lenses. When we're stressed, our brain is stuck on a super close-up lens, focusing only on the immediate obstacle. Humor allows us to zoom out, to put a wide-angle lens on the situation. From that wider perspective, the towering mountain often shrinks back down to a manageable hill, or even just a funny little bump in the road. This isn't about ignoring problems or pretending everything is fine when it's not. It's about changing your relationship with the problem. It's about creating a little emotional distance, just enough space to breathe and think more clearly. Think of it like this. When you're standing right next to a giant, overwhelming painting, all you see are individual brushstrokes and colors. It can be chaotic. But when you step back, a beautiful, coherent image often emerges. Humor helps us step back. Now let's talk about the specific, powerful flavor of humor called self-irony. This isn't about being mean to yourself or constantly putting yourself down. That's a different beast entirely. Self-irony is a gentle, almost affectionate acknowledgement of our own human imperfections, our awkward moments, our silly mistakes, our perfectly normal flaws. It's looking at yourself, perhaps after tripping over absolutely nothing in front of a group of people, and instead of spiraling into embarrassment, you mentally or even verbally say, "Yep, that's me, graceful as a baby giraffe on roller skates." Why is this so powerful? Because our brains, remember, are always evaluating us, judging us, comparing us. When we make a mistake, our inner critic often goes into overdrive, telling us we're foolish, incompetent, or unworthy. This internal voice can be brutal, and it's exhausting to constantly fight against it. Self-irony steps in and disarms that inner critic. It's like saying, hey, I already saw that. I'm human. I mess up. It's part of the deal. And you know what? It's kind of funny. When you can gently tease yourself, you take away the sting of external criticism too. If you can laugh at your own burnt dinner or your perfectly typed typo in an important email, it becomes much harder for someone else's judgment or even just your own fear of it to really land a punch. You've already acknowledged the absurdity, the humanity of the situation. You're owning it, not wallowing in it. Consider a scenario. You've been working on a big project at work for weeks, poured your heart into it, and then at the last minute, something goes wrong. A major glitch, an oversight, or an unexpected hurdle completely derails part of it. Your first instinct might be panic, shame, or despair. Your brain screams, failure, you've ruined everything. But if you can pause, take a breath, and maybe internally quip, well, that's one way to keep things interesting, or who needs smooth sailing anyway? I clearly signed up for the adventure package. You've introduced a crucial moment of detachment. You're not dismissing the seriousness of the problem, but you're refusing to let it completely consume your self-worth. This ability to not take ourselves too seriously is a cornerstone of resilience. Resilience isn't about avoiding pain or never failing. It's about how quickly and effectively we recover when we do. When you can laugh at your missteps, when you can find the humor in your own human condition, you're essentially building emotional shock absorbers. Life will inevitably throw curveballs, some small, some devastatingly large. A rigid tree in a storm might snap, but a flexible one that can bend and sway, is far more likely to weather the gale. Humor and self-irony are those qualities of flexibility. Think about navigating a big life change, like moving to a new city where you don't know anyone. It's exciting, but also terrifying. You'll make social blunders, you'll get lost, you'll probably try to assemble some furniture incorrectly. Your brain might tell you, everyone here has it figured out, you're the awkward new person. But if you can catch yourself in a moment of utter confusion, perhaps standing in the wrong line at the DMV, and think, okay, this is just classic, of course this would happen today, and gently find a small internal chuckle, you're not letting the discomfort define you. You're acknowledging it, allowing it to be part of the experience, and then gently moving on. Humor also strengthens our connections with others. When we can share a laugh about our shared human experience, about the universal awkwardness of life, it builds bridges. It says, I see you, I get it, we're in this together. A friend who can laugh with you about a silly mistake you made and gently point out the humor in your own slightly obsessive personality quirk isn't being unkind. They're connecting with you on a deeper, more authentic level. And when you can do that for yourself, you become more approachable, more relatable, and frankly, more comfortable in your own skin. Sometimes people worry that humor means being flippant about serious issues or avoiding important feelings. That's a common misunderstanding. Humor isn't about denying the reality of pain or struggling. It's about choosing how you relate to that reality. It's about finding moments of lightness within the struggle, not instead of it. You can absolutely feel grief, sadness, anger, or frustration, and still find moments where a tiny spark of humor illuminates the path forward or helps you process those feelings in a healthier way. Think of it as a tool in your emotional toolbox, not the only tool, but a very powerful one. So, how do we cultivate the superpower? It's not about becoming a stand-up comedian overnight. It's about shifting your perspective, day by day, moment by moment. First, give yourself permission to laugh. Our brains are so quick to categorize things as serious or not serious, appropriate or inappropriate. Sometimes we feel guilty for finding something funny in a tough situation. But that little laugh, that moment of levity, is your brain's way of releasing tension, of finding a new angle. Don't fight it, embrace it. Second, practice noticing the absurdity of everyday life. The world is full of it. The overly dramatic squirrel in the park, the ridiculous typo on a professional sign, the sheer chaos of trying to assemble flat-pack furniture. Our brains often filter these things out as unimportant, but if you intentionally look for them, you'll start to see them everywhere. And once you start seeing the humor around you, it becomes easier to see the humor in your own situations. And third, practice gentle self-irony. Start small. When you burn the toast, instead of sighing in exasperation, try a quiet, "nailed it," again. When you forget an important detail, instead of berating yourself, try a soft, "my brain clearly had other priorities today," like remembering that song from 3rd grade. It's not about being fake or putting on a brave face. It's about acknowledging your very human imperfections with a touch of warmth and understanding, rather than harsh judgment. It's a quiet, internal kindness you offer yourself. Your brain often lies to you by taking everything so incredibly seriously, by convincing you that every misstep is a monumental failure, every challenge an unsolvable crisis. But humor, and especially that gentle self-irony, offers a different path. It's a path of flexibility, of perspective, of resilience, and ultimately of greater self-compassion. It allows you to navigate the messy, unpredictable journey of life, not just with endurance, but with a lighter heart and a quiet confidence, knowing that you can bend without breaking, and even find a chuckle along the way. So, as you go about your week, I want to leave you with a couple of reflection questions to ponder. First, think about a recent small frustration or mistake you experienced. Could you find one tiny, even absurd, thing about it that you could playfully acknowledge or chuckle at, either to yourself or with a trusted friend? Second, where in your life are you taking yourself a little too seriously right now? Can you imagine approaching that situation with just 1% more lightness, perhaps by giving yourself a gentle self-ironic nod to your own human struggles within it? And finally, how might embracing more humor and self-irony not just make things easier for you, but also strengthen your connections with the people around you? Thank you for joining me on Your Brain Lied. Until next time, remember to be kind to your brain and even kinder to yourself, especially when you find yourself tripping over nothing.